So now that we have the equipment laid out on kind of how I wanted to look, we'll go ahead and start pre-drilling some holes inside the ABS plastic so we can mount the equipment to the board so nothing actually moves. This 2024 Toyota Camry actually has the JBL system, so we're going to use green and purple to represent the rear speaker wire colors since we're going to be tapping off the sub. Remember, what you put in your line output converter is what you get out. Since we want more bass, we need to either tap into the factory subwoofer outputs or we need to tap into a pair of speakers that is full range. Now that we have that already installed using some ferrules and the quick connect on the side of the LC1i, I want to go ahead and pre-drill my holes and route them in a way in which I want them to flow. Now I think a nice 90-degree bend will be good for this install because we will be mounting this amp board on the back of the rear seats, so all the wires can actually naturally flow down and go to their designated locations. Now the factory amplifier inside this 2024 Toyota Camry is under the driver's seat. There's going to be a black cover on top and it's going to be held down by 3 tabs. As soon as you remove those tabs, you can remove the cover and you will actually see the JBL amplifier. We're going to use some interior tester tape to actually tape up the wire going towards that amplifier up to the point to where we can use our connection. We're going to finish it off with some of my custom printed heat shrink, and with that being said, we drop that last zip tie and we are done with our first connection. What is the wire crimper in the beginning? Well, the wire crimper that I'm using is actually called a ferrule crimper. It is used to crimp the ferrules onto the wire. I believe it can crimp from 22 gauge wire all the way up to 12 gauge, or anything bigger than that like 10, 8, 4, 2, 0 gauge. You're not going to be using this crimper for that. The main reason you want to use ferrules anyway is mainly because of wire protection. When you place bare wire inside of a terminal and then start to crank down on that set screw to get a tight connection, you can end up cutting the wire itself. When you use that ferrule, the ferrule actually bonds itself with the wire. That way, when you tighten down the set screw on your amplifier, it actually still leaves the wire intact, but it doesn't sacrifice the actual tight connection that you get. And just as a bonus, they look way cleaner on your installation than just bare wire going into any terminal. Now that we're done with the audio control LC1i connections, I want to start test fitting these power and ground wires from the amplifier to the power and ground distribution block. At first, I want to cut a little bit of extra length because I know I'm going to be able to strip it back a little bit, and I still want to add ferrules, so I want to make sure I have the tight connection and I want the wire to be exact. So I put the ferrule in the amplifier first with the wire, then I want to strip it back, add another ferrule and put it inside the connector to make sure that it's going to give me exactly what I want when it comes to routing the wires a certain way. Now that I got those wires to fit perfectly, now it's time to dress it up in the next video. Continuing the amp rack on this 2024 Toyota Camry, now that we have the power and ground wires where we wanted to go, routing from the amplifier to the distribution block, we're going to dress this up using some braided sleeving called TechFlex and some of my custom printed heat shrink. Now I want to take this time to answer the questions that I get every single time I do one of these amp board builds. I get the exact same questions and I always put the links in my profile, but it seems like nobody's listening to the voiceover, reading the captions, or going to the profile. So I'm gonna say it one last time. I'm not gonna say it again. What material am I mounting the amp to? It is called ABS plastic. I get it from Amazon. You can get all kinds of shapes and sizes that you want. You can also choose between the colors of black and white. I usually use a 1/4 inch. Sometimes I may use 1/8 inch ABS plastic if I need to make a bend because it heats up really easy and it bends easy, and it also hardens real quick. So those are 2 sizes, and the links are in my profile under amp boards. Where do I get the TechFlex from? You can get it from wirecare.com. Although it's pretty expensive, the best bet is going to be Amazon. Where can I get that custom printed heat shrink? Well, you can go to wirecare.com, although they're extremely expensive still. There are some people on Amazon that will be able to do it for you. The company that I'm using right now, I'd rather not say because I'm currently trying to find somebody else to do it, because on my last order a lot of them was messed up and I didn't feel like having a headache with messing with that company anymore. But here's what it's looking like so far. A couple more wires and this one's done. Last video of the 2024 Toyota Camry, we are going to finish up just by installing these last couple wires. This one right here is going to be the 12 gauge sub wire that's going to our kicker comp R. I believe it's about 500 RMS, so this 800.1 is going to deliver that same 500 to 600 RMS at 2 ohms, so it's going to be perfect. I do have it dressed up the exact same way. All black braided sleeving, which is called Tet Flex, and some of that red custom pretty heat shrink. I use red instead of black because it's technically going to be power that's going to the sub, and we're going to route everything the exact same way because this board is going to be mounted on the back of the seat. Now this is what it looks like right now. We do have one more set of wires that we do have to install. Is going to be a RCA. We're doing a 1.5 foot RCA going on the back of the board from the LC19 to the other side of the amp, and we also just did 2 zip ties on the other side for the bass knob. And here we are finishing up with the 80 amp mini A&L fuse on the power and ground T-Spec VDB1 power and ground distribution block, and that's what it looks like mounted to the back of the seat. Our 4 gauge under the hood is dressed up the exact same way, going to a T-Spec mini A&L fuse holder going right through that grommet on the driver's side. And here we have the kicker single 12, which is a preloaded kicker comp R 12-inch sub, and even though this bass won't knock out the back windshield, like, it's still enough for him. So till next time, this is your boy JP signing out. God bless. Peace.